The United Kingdom is developing a state-of-the-art supersonic stealth fighter specifically designed to strike Russia if the Kremlin decides to go to war with Europe. In London, the first designs of the newest fighter jet, which will be able to attack Russian territory without hindrance, were unveiled. Putin will be unable to respond as he lacks the necessary weapons. The first thing you need to know about the new Flangansky fighter jet of the United Kingdom is that it's big, even huge. This becomes immediately clear when you see the full-scale model towering in the factory warehouse run by the British defense giant. And, as stated at the presentation, size matters here because it says a lot about the plans of the United Kingdom, Italy and Japan regarding the supersonic stealth aircraft they are currently developing together. We'll talk more about this new aircraft in this episode and especially discuss it in the context of a possible war between Russia and NATO. I'm Alexei Pichi. Today is July 19th. Let's review everything methodically. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, give it a like, leave any comment you want, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Peachy News. The link is in the description of this video. So, three countries in the alliance, Britain, Italy and Japan, are jointly creating a monster, or more precisely, an aircraft, which in the United Kingdom has been named under the agreement known as the Global Combat Air Programme. As stated at the presentation, a larger aircraft means larger fuel tanks. This means a greater flight range and a larger payload. However, such a size also allows weapons to be stored inside, providing a smooth outer surface, which makes it harder for the aircraft to be detected by radar. And now some experts are already comparing it to the American B-2 bomber, but there are differences, and they are quite significant. It will be equipped with technologies that allow it to interact with other aircraft, drones, ground forces, satellites, and even missiles. All this suggests that it is being developed for long-range missions deep inside enemy territory, where communication with the main base may be impossible. And here's what a quote says about this. According to experts, if NATO ever starts a war against Putin's Russia, it would mean that planes would take off from a British airfield unnoticed, fly to Russia, destroy enemy air defenses, and then fly back. Moreover, such a long flight range would allow Japanese pilots to strike deep into mainland China in any future conflict in the Pacific. Since modern combat is conducted over ever greater distances, any means of deterring Russian and Chinese aggression must be able to operate at ranges that we were previously incapable of. The need for flight range is so important that project leaders suggest the aircraft would be able to cross the Atlantic without in-flight refueling. Something that no Royal Air Force fighter has ever been able to do. And just for context, the Typhoon jet, which is also British and forms the backbone of the current United Kingdom Air Force fleet, has a combat range of about 1,400 kilometers on a single tank of fuel. The American F-35 jet, which Britain wants to buy, has a range of about 1,100 kilometers, and that's less than half the distance between London and Moscow, which is about 2,500 kilometers. The British are currently developing a more serious aircraft to address this need. And here's how military experts comment on the topic of creating a new fighter jet. Here's a quote. It will play an unrivaled role among British fighter jets since requirements have changed over the years, and so have the models. You can make your aircraft as stealthy as you want, but if it needs to be refueled by a tanker in the sky, then in the end the enemy just has to track down and destroy that tanker. That's why you need enough internal fuel to go a very, very long way, and then come back again. And now he goes on to imagine how exactly the new British fighters could be used. Quote, imagine that NATO and Russia really do start a war in the future. How would that affect the role in this conflict? In the first week of the conflict, they would have to invade Russian territory and attack air defense systems and air bases. Then in the second week, when there is no threat from air defenses, the aircraft can either be used as a fighter to gain air superiority, patrolling the skies and destroying enemy fighters, or it can continue to perform the role of ground support. To fulfill this role, it is expected to be able to unleash massive arsenals of explosive weapons on its targets, potentially twice as much as the F-35 can deploy. The technologies built into it will also enable the aircraft to function as an airborne communications hub, even if the connection with bases in the United Kingdom is disrupted. This means it can serve as a central communications point for nearby friendly drones and missiles, as well as for ground forces and satellites in space. But who is building this aircraft now? It is reported that the British giant is taking on most of the work, but Rolls-Royce, missile manufacturers, and an Italian company are also working on the project. As of today, Britain, Italy, and Japan are collaborating on the project. These three countries have joined forces to create this giant machine. But it's already known that Saudi Arabia is also in talks with the three countries to become part of this project. But the British are against it, saying that maybe in the future we'll sell such a plane to the Saudis, but they don't want to let Saudi Arabia join the project. The British are asserting that with three countries already on board and momentum gained, they have everything in place and do not require additional participants. But in the end, there's still a bit of a fly in the ointment. Because the Royal Air Force will only get their first planes like these in 2035. While they're developing, testing and planning to put them into service in 2035, which is in 10 years. That's all for now. Let me know your thoughts and conclusions in the comments. Friends, if you want to support the work of this channel, you can do so with any donation. I would appreciate your support. All the links and details are in the description of this video or by the QR code on your screens. Subscribe, hit the bell and like. That's all for now. Take care. Bye everyone. Subtitles created by